This is Hofstra's Campus Conversations, the official podcast of Hofstra University's leadership team, focusing on issues of importance to Hofstra and higher education. Now welcome today's host, Hofstra President Susan Poser.
Hello, thank you, and welcome to Hofstra's Campus Conversations. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite days of the year, commencement. Over the course of 5 ceremonies this May, we will celebrate the hard work, growth, and accomplishments of more than 2,000 graduates. One of the best parts of commencement each year is hearing from speakers who inspire and reflect the spirit of Hofstra. And today, I'm delighted to welcome one of our own, alumna, industry leader, and one of this year's undergraduate commencement speakers, Heather Cohen. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you so much for having me. I am delighted to be here with you, and of course, I'm thrilled to be participating in this year's commencement.
We're thrilled to have you there. Now, for those who don't know, Heather's story is deeply rooted in Hofstra. She's a proud graduate of the Herbert School of Communication, a loyal and active alumna serving on several Hofstra boards, and she's a trailblazer in broadcast media. She currently serves as president of the Weiss Agency, where she represents some of the most influential voices in radio and beyond. But her voice and her heart, I dare say, have always remained very close to Hofstra. So, Heather, let's start with that connection. How did you end up choosing Hofstra as the place to go to college?
Well, of course, I heard wonderful things about Hofstra, but my mom attended Hofstra for a master's and then was an adjunct professor on and off, but basically on for about 17 years. So Hofstra was a big part of my life. We made a little deal at home. I was very, very fortunate. They wanted me to stay close to home. I was interested in Hofstra, but we made an agreement that I would live on campus, come home and visit them, whenever I felt like I needed to get out. They were excited to have me there. Little did I know that I was in for such an amazing experience.
Well, that's great. So you were close enough for laundry, but you didn't have to go home every day.
I learned how to use quarters. But I think for any student, it's intimidating. And I never went to sleepaway camp. For me, it was really my first time away from home. It just made it so wonderful to know that they were there, but to have that independence.
And how would you say this undergraduate experience connected you eventually to your career path?
I feel so fortunate. I had the most remarkable experience. I wish every student could have the opportunities that I had. It's funny because later in life, I put certain things together and I realized, hey, I'm doing this because I learned it at Hofstra. I have to give so much credit to WRHU and the training that I received there from a managerial perspective. My last 2 years, I was station manager at WRHU. I was a student managing over 100 other students. That was a pretty incredible opportunity. Even starting when I was 18 years old, I was the assistant news director at the radio station, then news director, then quickly became program operations director, which is basically program director these days, and then station manager for 2 years. So I literally had the Robert's Rules of Order book so that I could run a board meeting. We had an administrative board and an executive board. And here I was a student, 18, 19, 20, 21, participating in board meetings, running board meetings, and managing a very large staff of, very diverse personalities and creatives. It set me up in a way I can't even explain. It helped me to get my first job, and I think it helps me in everything that I do every day.
I also think right back at Hofstra, because you are currently the president of the executive board of the Hofstra University Alumni Association, right? You're also a member of the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication Dean's Advisory Board and a member of the Women in Leadership Advisory Board. So all that leading that you did as an undergraduate, you've continued to do at Hofstra and for Hofstra. And you were also on the board of directors of the George Estabrook Alumni Association, right?
That's actually very cool because my uncle Ken Bagatelle, who we miss dearly, he was the president of the George M. Estabrook Alumni Association many, many years ago. And he was incredibly involved with Hofstra. This is my husband's uncle. But he and I were very close. And Uncle Ken was instrumental in getting parking spots and just different things around campus that were available to everyone, whether in a wheelchair. It was something that he was very, very passionate about. And he was really influential in that space. And I give him a tremendous amount of credit. He did a lot of good, and he brought a ton of students into the university. So it was really a pleasure to sit on that board, and I felt like I was following in his footsteps in a small way.
That's wonderful. So can you explain to us a little bit about, why you remain so involved and also what your goals are for the alumni organization while you're its current leader?
I think I've been on an advisory council since I was 21 or 22. And I'm very grateful that someone invited me to participate on that council. It was before Lawrence Herbert, but it was the School of Communication Advisory Council. I just have this deep love. I truly got so much out of Hofstra, from hands-on experience in the broadcasting space to really making some of the best friends in my life. And by the way, many of those friends I made after graduation. I made those friends and really key business relationships from being involved in the alumni organization. But I do feel like I owe it to the university in a way, because the university was so good to me. The faculty, the staff, people gave me opportunities. Sometimes I was scratching my head like, why do I deserve this? Why me? I just never forgot the opportunities that I was given during those 4 years. And I feel like I want to be a part of a group that can help, our future. I'm so proud when I come back to, especially to speak or meet with students. I feel motivated. I feel energized about our future. I feel incredibly hopeful. I think I get more out of it than any of the groups that I'm involved with. I feel really fortunate. In terms of the alumni organization, I want everyone to be involved. I cannot tell you how often I meet Hofstra graduates. In fact, I met someone who just received a master's at a birthday party a few weeks ago. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she has an 8-year-old daughter. We just started talking, and she's like, oh, I would love to become involved. There are so many amazing graduates that maybe just haven't taken the time to get involved with us, but there are so many opportunities to grow your network, to give back. I think most people get much more out of it than they're even giving back. They don't even realize that they're giving back. For example, we had the inaugural Women in Leadership conference. It was tremendous.
I was there. It was phenomenal.
Right? It just felt great. For example, out of that, I ended up with 2 lunch meetings with women that I had never really spent time with before. And now I'm in contact with 2 other women that I'm sure there will be a lunch. They're in different fields, but it's, strong women who are helping each other, working together, sharing thoughts. It's exciting to be a part of this group. And I'll tell you, from a business perspective, Hofstra is so incredibly strong in terms of the entertainment industry, beyond broadcast, but certainly television, radio, and of course, podcasting and streaming. We have this incredible presence, especially in terms of executive level graduates. It's a great network to be a part of. And I've found that it's even helped me in my own business so I'm a talent agent. In representing my clients, there have been many, many, many occasions over the years where I just picked up the phone and called, fill in the blank number 2 at a company and had access because it was a Hofstra relationship.
That's amazing.
So it's wonderful.
So now that you're talking a little bit about your career, tell us a little bit about it and about the Weiss Agency and how you rose through the broadcast media industry to the position that you're in now.
Well, I certainly did not say I want to be a talent agent when I was at Hofstra. Not even close. Let me start with my internship. So I was really well prepared, not just from WRHU, but one of my 2 majors was audio radio. And at the time, I'm dating myself, but we were splicing tape with razor blades. I mean, literally, I would get sibilance out with a razor blade. I interned at WOR 710 a.m. for Rambling with Gambling. And it was John R. Gambling in the morning, 3 generations of broadcasters for many, many years on the great WOR. And there were 2 interns. It was myself, another gentleman, and he would get coffee, and I would splice tape and edit the morning show because I had that education. I knew how to do that, and they trusted me to do that. So I actually was hired. I started the day after I graduated, and I started in the engineering department as a board operator, and then became a producer, and then assistant program director. My last year at WOR, I was running programming, and then I went to run programming for a women's radio network that Jane Fonda and Gloria Steinem started. And it was not political. It was issues of the day, lifestyle, with some really, really smart broadcasters. It was the right concept. Sadly, it was probably the wrong time, but I joined them. I always joke, I can write a book on what not to do in syndication because I feel like I made every mistake in the world during that period of time. WOR had a network, small network, but here I was learning every aspect from the engineering side, production side, talent side, and we had studios in New York City and in Los Angeles and talent all over. I did that for a year and a half, and sadly, that company went Chapter 13. So I had 12 hours to let go of 59 staff members on 2 coasts. This was 2007. There were still jobs in 2007. Had this been 2008, it would have been a lot more challenging. Immediately when this happened, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm such a New Yorker, and my family is from New York, and I don't want to have to leave. I'm probably going to have to leave. But I was very, very fortunate that the phone rang. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't a bad thing to be a young woman in talk radio, because there weren't many women in talk radio. I was very junior. I had a ton to learn, but I was a woman in talk radio. So the phone rang, and I was very lucky that a few people were interested in hiring me, including my now boss, Eric Weiss. So Eric Weiss I had met about 18 months before in Los Angeles. I knew that he represented Casey Kasem and really leaders in the radio industry, any format, news, talk, sports, country, urban, top 40, whatever it was, he represented some of the biggest names in the industry and people that, frankly, I grew up listening to and truly admired. And Eric had this really great reputation of being very smart and very kind. And, to me, that's this magical combination. So we became fast friends. He had an office in Pacific Palisades, actually in the old Charles Lawton estate. He said, come out, let me introduce you to my wife, let me introduce you to my sister, some of my clients. I had no idea that he was thinking, hey, maybe you can get her to join me one day. I had no idea. But he was very nice, and we stayed in touch, and he had said to me, it was literally 6 months and either 2 or 3 days before my company went under. He said to me, Heather, I know the syndication business, because he used to be general counsel at Westwood One. He was running Mutual Broadcasting. Eric was the vice chair of the board of Premiere of the radio network. Eric knows syndication. And he said, I hate to tell you this, but you have about 6 months left, which is exactly what we had. He said, when that goes away, and sadly I believe it will, I want you to join me as an agent. And I looked at him, I just said, you're crazy. I'm not an attorney. I'm a baby talk programmer who's still trying to figure this out. And he said, no. You can get in front of people. You love talent, but you don't want to be talent. You just want to take care of talent. I'll teach you the legalese. You've already been the programmer negotiating with the agents. I can teach you how to be the agent negotiating with management.
That's amazing.
And that's what happened. So that was 2007. I joined him in, September of 2007. He is my big brother. He is family. He is a dear friend. He has so much patience. And I'm still learning from him, but I am incredibly blessed to have the most amazing man as a boss. He's on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, and we're really happy when we see each other.
That's amazing. I mean, and this career, from what I understand, has given you substantial recognition, including Woman of the Year by Talkers Magazine in 2013, and even Most Influential Woman in Radio by Radio Inc. for many years.
I'm on that most influential radio list. It's a list of many women. I'm very happy to be a part of that.
Well, that's a good list. And you're also in the WRHU Hall of Fame, right? Inducted about 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago?
Yes, that was such a proud moment. I was very, very honored. That was definitely one of the biggest moments of my life.
Well, there's nothing better than being re-honored by your own alma mater.
Exactly.
It's amazing. Which, of course, we're doing again at commencement on May 18th, where you're going to be the speaker for the undergraduate ceremony for students from the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication, as well as the Frank Zarb School of Business and the Fred DeMatta School of Engineering and Applied Science. So how does it feel to come back now and be the commencement speaker? Are you nervous about any of this? Excited?
I'm definitely excited. Thank you for asking me. I was shaking my head when you did. I thought, really? I am so honored to do it. I'm deeply honored to be a part of the special moment that the students are having. That day, that special day, I really can't believe that I get to be a part of their day. I am very excited that my own children will be there and that my parents will be there.
Oh, that's great.
And my daughter, who's 8, as I mentioned, wants to go to Hofstra. She's very nervous about getting in, but we have
we'll manage that. Maybe we'll take her as the early action, maybe when she's 10.
Perfect. That would be a great age. But I'm very excited that they will both be there. I don't know that I'm nervous, maybe a little bit nervous. I want to make sure that I am saying the right words. This is such an important day for these students and almost graduates, and I just hope that I can motivate them a little bit.
Can you give us any hint of the kind of thing you might be saying, or do you not want to give any of it away?
I'm working on a draft right now, and I think a lot of it is about service and mentorship and leadership.
Things that you are expert at, for sure.
Well, I don't know that I'm an expert. I learned from my parents early on because they were all about service. I learned from my professors and staff at WRHU and others at Hofstra also the importance and of course, leadership. And mentorship is something that has become so important to me. I always make sure that at least once a week, I am doing a Zoom or a call, and it may be a young person who's coming up in the business. It may be somebody who perhaps just left a position and needs to reinvent themselves. We've all had hard times. We've all needed somebody just to run things by and, talk to somebody who has a little bit of a global view of whatever industry we're in. So if I can do that, I am thrilled to do that because, again, I will never forget the people that have mentored me along the way. And I still have this remarkable group of mentors who have certainly become my dearest friends. I don't know what I would do without them, and I need them to this very, very day. So that's important. I'm also very fortunate that I have a boss that Eric has always said to me, take care of your boards, do, your fundraising. It's who you are, and it's important to you. And, look, I didn't fully address the question you asked earlier, but the Weiss Agency. So we are a talent agency. We represent some of the greatest content providers, I'll say, on the planet. I don't mind saying that. We're heavy in the audio space. So radio has always been a deep, deep passion. I started at 14, so, in high school radio. It's always been in my blood. But obviously, we do podcasting and streaming. The world has evolved, and certainly I'll do television deals. The world has evolved. We are constantly reinventing ourselves, but we're fortunate to have leaders. When I look at the radio industry or audio industry, we have leaders in every format. So if you look at sports, at news, at talk, at country, top 40, AC, hot AC, urban. I love working in the urban space. Obviously, talk has always been a big passion of mine. Any format that exists in that audio world, we look to represent the leaders, both from a local perspective. So I love a strong local, whether it's a morning show or whatever day part it may be, and of course, syndication. And with Casey Kasem as the first client to the Weiss Agency, syndication has always been a big part of our agency, and we're really fortunate to represent some of the leaders that are out there.
Well, I think our students are going to be in for a very special experience on commencement day. And of course, you are going to be in great company. As I mentioned, we have 4 other commencements going on in May. And so I'm just going to mention who those folks are as well. Dr. Wayne Riley is president of SUNY Downstate Health Sciences University, and he's going to speak at the Zucker School of Medicine ceremony on May 12th. James D'Addario is chairman and chief innovation officer of D'Addario & Company, which manufactures instrument parts like reeds for clarinets and oboes and strings for guitars. And he's a Hofstra alum, and he's going to speak at 9 a.m. at the undergraduate ceremony on May 18th. And John C. Williams is the president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and he's going to address the graduate ceremony at 5 p.m. on May 18th. You, Heather, are at 1 p.m. on May 18th, right in between those two. And then for the law school, the Honorable Rowan Wilson, who's the Chief Judge of the State of New York and the New York Court of Appeals, and he will speak at the Maurice A. Dean School of Law ceremony, and that one's on May 19th in the evening. It is a truly remarkable slate of speakers this year, representing public service, innovation, leadership, business, creativity, and, of course, radio. And that's you, Heather. So let me ask you one final question. You've judged the Tonys, you've led national boards, you've mentored students. How do you stay grounded and inspired? Do you have any tips for maybe some students or recent graduates who might listen to this?
It's different for everyone. I find that organization gives me great joy, and it helps keep me focused and centered. I have everything on my calendar, on my phone. The night before, I make sure that everything is timed out appropriately. There will always be unexpected things that happen. Every day there's something unexpected, usually multiple things that are unplanned. But I find that if I can keep myself organized, at least heading into the day, and I know what's in front of me, I can tackle it. I also know that every single thing, or just about every single thing, will get checked off and deleted. It's just how I operate. And that's really, I think, helped me get through a pretty crazy day to day. And again, it helps me deal with the unplanned and circumstances that just pop up because I feel like I can control the other things. Also, there are times that I just need silence. I have 2 little kids. There's a lot of noise. I'm in the media business. There's a lot of noise, sometimes a lot of drama. I value silence. I sometimes will just simply close the door to the office. There are times that I am thrilled to just be in a car, not listening to a podcast, not listening to a radio show, not on a phone call, just some silence, the white noise of the road perhaps. I crave that. I need that. If I can have that, I feel like I can clear my head. And then honestly, there's times that I feel like I need a little reset and just a simple distraction. A good comedy movie, perhaps a book. I don't get to read books as often as I would like. I look forward to plane rides because I can get in a good book on a plane ride, or honestly a podcast just for listening pleasure. I certainly listen to a lot of podcasts for work, but sometimes it's nice to listen to something that I don't feel like I have to listen to.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And I guess if I had to sum up what you said, I would say it's know yourself really well. And you seem to really know yourself and know what you need. And that's phenomenal. And that's really good advice also, right? Well,
thank you for that. And just thank you for your leadership. The culture at Hofstra feels so good, which is another reason why I like to come back. It's, being led by you, and your team is incredible. You have really put together this remarkable team of leaders who are kind and truly care about the students. And it just makes it such a pleasure to want to come back and attend events. It's not a chore, it's not a task, it's a joy, but that has everything to do with who's leading you.
Well,
so I just want to thank you and congratulate you.
I appreciate that, Heather, and I will agree with you that I think I've got the best team in higher education. So I want to thank you, Heather, for joining me today and for your ongoing leadership and service to this university. It's amazing. You just pay everything forward. That's a real gift to Hofstra. And also for agreeing to be one of our esteemed commencement speakers this year. I can't wait for the big day and to hear your speech.
Thank you so much. All right, no pressure. Now I'm getting a little
No pressure. You're good. You'll get organized. You can handle the pressure. So if any of you out there want to hear more or find out more about Heather Cohen, the other commencement speakers, or the ceremonies themselves, please visit hofstra.edu/commencement. And thanks to you, our audience, for listening. And we'll see you next time on Hofstra Campus Conversations.
If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas for Hofstra's Campus Conversations, please email podcast@hofstra.edu. Hofstra University has produced and provides this podcast for general information only. It is created in collaboration with WRHU Studios.